Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I want to discuss about that form. And form is very important one of the part in any project, right? So now in this video, we will discuss about that form. That means the Django form. So how can create that form and how can working with this step by step. I will show you that things with a live example. For doing this, first of all, I want to create one of the form page. So that is our project. Into this project, that is the template. Into the template, I have already created one of the template file as a FastApp. And into the FastApp, I have already created the index.html. So now I want to create another form in our FastApp area. So I just click as a new file, and here I just name it as a form.html. Okay, I just name it as a form.html. So now I just simply open it. So that is our form HTML. So first of all, here I want to define our HTML tag. So here I just simply define as a HTML, and here I put some of the title as a form. Okay, and then that is our body area. So if you already know about that little bit HTML, I think you already know about it. So I just simply define as a h3. Okay, so here I define as a h3. And here I just put some of the h3, some of the text as a this is a form. Okay, so this type of one of the text. And also after that, I want to define one of the form. So I just simply define one of the form, and here we don't need any class. Okay, so into the form they have some of the actions. So if you put that action as index.html, that means this data will be redirected to the index page. So right now I don't want to defining it, so I just make the things as a blank. And also they have the two type of method. One will be as a post method, another will be as a get method. So if you want to save some of the sensitive data, then you can use that post method, rather than you can also use that get method. So if you're working with the search option, then you can use that also the get. Okay, so right now I'm using that post, and also here I define that post, and I just make that action as empty. That means whatever the things I will do in particular that area, it should be working in particular that page. Okay, for the reasons here I just simply define as a blank. And after that I want to take one of the label. Okay, I just take one of the label and do the label for, and here I define as a text. Okay, I just simply define as a text underscore field. So this type of one of the field I have to define. So I just simply define as a text. That will be our text as a field. So I just simply define as a field. So now I want to define one of the input field. I just simply define as input. And into the input type, I just simply define type will be as a text type, and I just name that our field. So I just name it as a test field. So I just simply define as a test and value. So right now I don't want to put any value. So for the reasons I just make the things as empty. So now I want to visible our this form. Okay, I want to visible it. I want to visible it for the user. So if you want to visible it, then you have to go to your first project, and here we have to work in our views, right? So I just simply open it. So into this view, I have already created one of the function as the index function, right? So now I want to create another one. I want to create another one. I just name it as a div function name. I name that function as a form, right? So also here we have to pass that request. So I just simply define one of the parameter as a request. So after that, what exactly we have to do? We have to define one of the diction. That means our dictionary. So I just simply define as a diction. And right now, first of all, I want to make the things as empty. Okay, and then we have to return it. So I just simply define as a return. So I just simply define as a return render. So with this render function, I want to pass this request. So I just simply pass that request, and also here we have to pass our page. So our page I have created in our FastApp, into the FastApp, that is our form.html, right? So now I just simply define our view page as a fast underscore app, and into the FastApp I have defined as a form.html. Okay friend, I think you already know about it because we did the same things for our index function. Here you can see it's the pretty much same things. So now after that I want to define that context. So into this context area I want to pass our this diction. So I just simply pass it on here. Okay, so I just simply pass it. So here I have defined our view page. So now we have to do, after that we have to create one of the URL for our this form, right? So now we have to add it. So if you want to add it, go to that our URLs, that means in our FastApp, that is the URLs. So here we have to create our new one. So after that I just simply define as a path. right? So into this path area, I want to define our form name. So I just simply define one of the URL as a form. Okay, so I just simply define as a form, and then also we have to define our views. I think now it should be very much clear to you because we did this type of work a lot of the time. So into the views, I have already created one of the functions. So our function name as a form. So I just simply define our into the views, and that is our form function, right? And also I want to define that name. So I just simply define that name, and for this one as a form. Okay, I just name it as a form. Perfect. So now I want to run our server. So here better I just cut it and I just open it. First of all, I just click on the save all, and now open our terminal again, and I want to run our server. So you have to run as with the Python manage.py and then run server, right? So I just click on the enter. Now you can see they have no error and our server is now running. So I just simply copy it. Okay, so I just simply copy it, and now open our browser. So better I just cut it. Okay, and now I just refreshly open it, and now I want to access our form. So here I have already defining it. So I have defined our URL. So I define that URL name as a form, right? So I just simply copy it, and now here after that our directory, that means our root directory, I just simply access that form, click on the enter. Yeah, you can see that is actually this is a form, and that is our text field. That means we successfully load our HTML page. So that is the HTML page I have created. So that is our form. So into this form area, I have defined one of the text, right? You can say I define one of the text first, and also after that I define one of the level, and then I define one of the input field. So for the reasons, it's now showing our text and our level and the input field. Perfect. So now here, whatever the things you will put, and after that, if you click the submit, automatically it will be get this specific input field name. So here I have already defined one of the input field name as a text field, right? So with this text field, actually it's recognize a specific this field data. So if you create multiple input, for the every input field, you have to define some of the specific name for this one. Okay, friend. So right now I'm using that text field for a specific this field name, and also here I want to define one of the submit form, then it should be better. So after that I want to define one of the input field. So I just simply define as input, and in input type will be as a submit type, because from here I want to submit it. So I just simply define as a submit type, and for this input field I just name it as a submit. I just name it as a submit, and here there is a value. Into this value area I define as a submit. Okay, then it will be actually visible. So now if you click as a save all, so now if you refresh it, yeah, now you can see they have also one of the submit button. So that is our submit. So I just put that value. So here that is our value I have defined as a submit. For the reasons here, you can see it's now showing our submit button. And also here, if you want to define some of the value, like here, I just simply define that value as a this is test. Okay, this is test. So this type of one of the value I have defined. Click as a save all, and now refresh it. Now you can see it's now showing our this value in particular that area. Okay, so here if you also want to define some of the placeholder, you can also define that placeholders. Right now I just simply remove it, and here I define that placeholder. So there is a placeholder, whatever the things you will want to put, like enter your text. So this type of one of the placeholder I want to define. Click as a save all, and now if you refresh it, now you can see it's now showing as our enter your text, right, friend? And also here if you want to define, like right now you can see they have no required thing. And also here if you want to make this field is a required, that means without putting any data you cannot press that submit button. So if you want to make that field as a required, then you can also do that work. Then you have to after this you have to define as a required. Okay, you have to define that things only that required. That means right now this field is required, so here you have to define some of the input field. So now I just click as a save all. So now if you refresh it, and if you make that things as a blank, click as a submit, you can see it's now showing please fill out this field. So here it should be display some of the text, so without putting any text, you cannot submit this form. Okay friend, so here also you can define that things with this required. So now here I want to create two of this field. One will be as a full name input field, another will be for the user email. Okay, so this type of two of this field I want to create. For the reasons in our label area, first of all I want to change that label, and here I name it as a full name. Okay, this type of one of the input field, and better I want to change that our label, then it should be better. So I just name it as a user underscore name. Okay, so for a better understanding, I'm actually changing it. If you don't want to change it, then it's totally okay. So I just simply change that for here. I also want to change that our name as a username, that is placeholder. So right now I don't need this placeholder. So here I just make that field as a required. Okay, and also I want to take another one. I just simply copy it, and here after this I just name another one. It will be as a user email. And then here I define that our for as a user email, and also I want to update our name, that means input field name. I want to update it as a user email, and then here for the email I want to change that type. So I just simply define that type will be as an email type, right? So I just simply define one of the by default one of the input type as a email type for our email field, and the value, and also I define make that things as a required. Perfect. So now if you click as a save all, I just click as a save all, check our server. Yeah, everything is looking great. Now I just refresh it. Yeah, you can see there is actually the full name, full email, and there is our submit button. So better I want to change it. It should be as a user email, then it should be better. So that will be as a user email. Okay friend, so I just simply define as a user email. So that is our one, and that is our another one. So now if you click as a save all, and now if you refresh it, yeah, it's now perfectly updated. So friend, here we have created this from with using that HTMLs, right? So in Django, they have also some of the by default resources. They have also by default some of the functions if you want to create some of the form with the using the Django. So better in our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So step by step we'll go more deep, because here actually everything will be needed for our project. So that's all that actually basic things, because we will create 3 projects. We will create one of the blog project, we will create one of the social media project, and after that also we will create one of the e-commerce project, right? So everything will be needed. For the reasons I want to first of all share all that basic things with you, so it will increase your knowledge for better understanding about the Django. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.